Hey, today I'm talking about 3 movies featuring this actress. I got a big old crush on her, and I've watched a number of films already this year, but I wanted to watch a few more. So all of these ones are from the 2010s. And the names of those 3 films are Spellbound, The Last Princess, and Blood and Ties. First up is Spellbound. This is a 2011 film. It's not a remake of the Ingrid Bergman film, but I do still love it a lot. The basic premise is this young woman is really lonely and struggling to get through life. And the reason for that is because she has this ability to see the dead. And sometimes they haunt her, and sometimes they annoy her, and sometimes they're just looking for some help. But that kind of ruins all of her relationships. Well, one day she meets a boy, and the boy's like, I don't care. And yeah, no, it's so delightful. It does a masterful job of balancing horror and fun rom-com. Also, there's a bit of melodrama mixed in there as well. It's very aware of itself and the fact that it is these very hard, distinct genres. But it honestly really works so well. Just because like it takes each of those moments so seriously. When like there's spooky stuff happening, they'll let it play out and it lands. And then when we get to like the fun, cute romance stuff, it's fun and cute and adorable, and you just get all sucked up in it. You can't help but have a good time. But then like bounces back to the horror stuff, and then you're feeling bad for these characters, and that just kind of adds to the tension in the romance, because it's like, ooh, can they push past the literal horrors that are happening to them to have the cute, fun rom-com stuff? And then melodrama happens, because that's just, you know, what happens. And yeah, no, it's just so delightful and charming and cute. Both the leads are great. I love that it was unafraid to just go to these extremes in a sense. And yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it and would wholeheartedly recommend it. It's a good, fun, delightful experience. If I was gonna complain about anything, I'd maybe say it's like a hair too long or like a little too melodramatic in the end. But honestly, that's not enough to push it down. It's a delightful movie that is well worth a watch. Next up is The Last Princess. This is a 2016 film, I think loosely inspired by true life. It's about the last princess of Korea. So around 100 years ago, when Japan was like, ooh, we want all of Korea for ourselves. And then they like did some murdering and other stuff to the royal family. We follow the princess as she lives her life. And it's pretty good. I definitely found it interesting. Again, the lead gives a great performance. She really is good about just looking very sad, because that's just like the constant state of her character throughout the film, and you can definitely buy it. All that sorrow is definitely right there. I definitely find it interesting. I have 2 complaints really. One is that for some reason, like after the beginning section of the movie, they suddenly like jump forward to near the end of the story and kind of spoil a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, I didn't know anything about this situation going into it, and you just kind of like spoiled what's gonna happen. And like the movie didn't need that to like get the tension, because there's just a lot of tension naturally within the story of like, oh, what's gonna happen to the princess? Where's she gonna go next? What bad thing is gonna happen at her or whatever? Yes, that was kind of weird and frustrating. It's also very propaganda, but I kind of didn't mind that. The other complaint is that I don't feel like I really truly got a good sense of what her life was like. Like I feel like this is kind of like the top section of Wikipedia that just has like a very brief summary of her whole life, instead of like giving me like good in-depth stuff about her life. I know it's not a documentary, but I feel like I should still have a good idea of what her life was, and I don't feel like I really did. I put this in the quiet like, so it's basically a 4 out of 5 for me. Again, it was interesting. The performances were solid. Even though it was propaganda, it was fun. And I do like learning about that time in Korea's history. So yeah, I did enjoy it, even though I did have my problems with it, and I would still recommend it. It is a good, interesting film. So yes, worth a watch. And lastly is Blood and Ties. This is a 2013 film, and the basic premise is this young woman has a loving father who does all that he can for her, but maybe there's more to him than meets the eye. And the movie's definitely presented as a mystery. There's this terrible thing that happened, and it's probably the father who did it. But then like they want us to like have doubts about, oh, did he do it? Did he not do it? What's going on? But like they don't give us any other options. The father father is the only possible suspect. And like, it feels like the movie is trying to gaslight me into thinking that like, oh no, it could be someone else. But like, no, the only option ever presented in the film is just the father. And that's just not compelling. It's just like a woman being frustrated, waiting for her father to just admit that he did this thing. And then eventually he admits that he does the thing. It's not a surprise because it was very clear that that's the only thing that could possibly happen. So it's just like waiting for it to happen, and then it happens in the last 5 minutes, and then another thing happens, and then it's over. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing, movie? I think the premise is interesting for sure, and I again think Son gave a great performance. I think overall the performances weren't bad. It's really just like the story itself needed just like a bit more to it, a bit more mystery going into it if they wanted this to be a mystery. It like just kind of came at the story from a different angle. Cause yeah, no, what are you doing, movie? So it wasn't a didn't like, it was just a meh. But yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend it because it's just like, it's so clear what's gonna happen and then it just happens. And it's like, all right, well, why'd I watch this? So yeah, don't recommend. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Spellbound sitting at number 28 in the really like section. And then after that is The Last Princess sitting at number 68 in the quite like section. It does feel like a long ways down, but there's a lot of movies in those top two categories. And then bringing up the rear, rightfully so, is Blood and Ties sitting at number 101 in the meh section. This is a total of 117 old movies so far this year.